Behind me is the courthouse in Sanford, Florida, where attorneys for the state and George Zimmerman have been duking it out for over a week. It was just a few miles from here that Trayvon Martin was shot once in the chest and killed. That was 18 months ago. In the weeks after that rainy February night, passions were stirred, protests ensued, and eventually criminal charges were filed. But now in Sanford, there are new questions, and for some fears, about what could happen, would happen, if he's found not guilty. Today, the jockeying began early as the prosecution struggles to save its case in the George Zimmerman trial. When jurors arrived in court today, the first thing they were told was to ignore, effectively forget, a crucial moment of testimony from a key prosecution witness.
You are to disregard the question and the answer.
Lead Detective Chris SERINO had come close to saying he believed George Zimmerman's account of what happened the night Zimmerman shot and killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin.
So if we were to take pathological liar off the table as a possibility just for the purpose of this next question, you think he was telling the truth?
Yes.
If jurors believe Zimmerman is being truthful, prosecutors could be in big trouble. Judge Deborah Nelson ruled that SERINO could not offer an opinion of another witness's credibility. A small victory for a prosecution trying to shore up its case against the Neighborhood Watch volunteer.
He said, just give me the address of the house you're in front of. And there's no address because these are the back of the houses.
Prosecutor Bernie Della RIONDA continued questioning the detective who'd been with Zimmerman during a reenactment for police in the days following Martin's death. Detective SERINO testified about questions he had as to why Zimmerman would have left his car after calling the police.
Are you following him? Yeah. Okay, we don't need you to do that.
George Zimmerman parked his car here on a rainy night. He says he started walking to get his bearings, to get an address for police, that he was actually walking back to his car. But prosecutors say that doesn't make sense, that he lived in the neighborhood and that he was too far away from his car. They believe he followed Trayvon Martin, ignoring the 911 operator who told him he didn't need to do that.
When a defendant turns and points on video to this side where he's saying there's no address because it's the back of the house, right to the right, what is there? Is there a house there with an address?
Yes, there is.
The question, should Zimmerman have been able to easily see that address that night? Or should he have already known it?
You pointed out there was only 3 actual streets in the whole neighborhood, correct?
Yes, sir.
But defense attorney Mark O'Mara tried to get SERINO to concede he had no evidence that Zimmerman actually followed Martin.
Is there anything at all to suggest at that time that Mr. Zimmerman continued to follow Mr. Martin?
At which point, sir?
At the point that the officer said, or the non-emergency operator said, we don't need you to do that, and Mr. Zimmerman said, okay.
I would say yes, there was.
And what evidence would you have?
His end location.
Sorry?
His end location, the location where the incident ultimately ended.
How that incident ended was recounted in court today by Mark Osterman, a federal marshal and self-described best friend of Zimmerman's.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony in these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Prosecutors called him to show what they say is an inconsistency, that Zimmerman told his friend that Trayvon Martin grabbed at his gun, rather than Zimmerman just fearing Martin was about to reach for it, as he told police.
Do you recall if he even told you that Trayvon Martin had touched the gun, or just that he was reaching for it?
I thought he had said he had grabbed the gun. I've only heard the story twice, and whether it was grabbed the gun, grabbed for the gun, perhaps it was just the intent.
This comes on the heels of many legal analysts concluding that the testimony of prosecution witnesses, including the police, had been helping the defense more than the prosecution. We asked Sanford Chief of Police Cecil Smith about his officer's testimony.
The testimony is the testimony. I believe what they're doing is providing the information that took place that evening in a professional manner, and that's what they're supposed to be doing on the stand.
At the courthouse, many now openly speculate about a possible not guilty verdict. And some fear an uproar from those unwilling to accept that outcome. George Zimmerman is found not guilty. Is your office ready for that?
I believe we have plans that will be able to deal with issues as they arise.
I assume the worst case scenario then would be riots.
Yeah, and I would say it again, you know what, we're not talking about riots, we're talking about rallies. If people choose to come to Sanford and voice their opinions, or if they want to come and rally, we welcome that. We want people to have the opportunity to express themselves.
Chief Smith took over the job just 3 months ago, a transplant from the Chicago area, married to a white woman for 15 years. He was disappointed to find race still an issue for some in this corner of the South. Was there any resistance to you getting this job?
There was some little scuttlebutt within the department about some officers who may not have wanted to work for a black chief.
In this day and age, there are white officers saying, I don't want to work for a black chief.
Yeah, that was kind of the rumor.
At the Colonial Room restaurant, a community institution for 30 years, Marjorie Lemon and other diners pore over the details of the case. She remembers a time when Sanford was aggressively divided by race.
I have grandsons that age, and they walk around with hoodies and sweatshirts on, and it could have been one of them.
But both black and white residents in Sanford say they don't expect any response to be violent.
I don't think anyone's going to, go crazy and physically start tearing up things in this city. I think we can handle things appropriately here, no matter what the verdict is.
I think we'll get up the next day and there'll be another day, and we'll keep moving forward.
We were all trying to move beyond the incident that happened. We're not saying that we're forgetting the things that took place, but we're learning from the things. And this court hearing is just going to be kind of a stepping stone to moving forward with the community.
Zimmerman's attorney, Mark O'Mara, is also well aware of the racial component, especially with no African Americans on the jury of 6 women.
I would like to have had a more diverse jury, only so that those people who want to complain would have less of a reason to complain.
But some would say it's entirely premature to be preparing for a not guilty verdict.
I've looked at the jury. They are engaged, they are taking notes, and I think there was a real sea change today in favor of the prosecution.
Zimmerman's attorneys also found themselves on the defensive today over an Instagram photo posted by the daughter of Zimmerman defense attorney Don West. The controversial selfie shows West with his daughters holding up ice cream cones. The caption reads, "We beat stupidity celebration cones," followed by the hashtag, "Dad killed it." Today, prosecutors asked for a formal inquiry over the photo posted after West's cross-examination of Trayvon Martin's friend, Rachel Gentile.
Be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
They believe an investigation is necessary to ensure, quote, witnesses in court proceedings are being treated with respect. The defense responded saying the picture was taken before Gentile ever took the stand and has nothing to do with her testimony. West says that since the photo went viral, he and his family have personally received threats of rape and other violence should my family's personal information become known. A firm reminder that this case is being tried both inside and outside the courthouse. Stay with ABC News for full coverage of the Zimmerman trial.